Episode number 752, Who to Have a One-to-One With.
You're listening to the official BNI podcast with BNI founder and Chief Visionary Officer, Dr. Ivan Misner. Stay tuned for networking and referral marketing tips from the man who's been called the father of modern networking, along with suggestions and insights into getting the most from your membership in the world's largest networking organization, BNI.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the official BNI podcast. I'm Priscilla Rice, and I'm coming to you from Live Oak Recording Studio in Berkeley, California, and I'm joined on the phone today by the founder and the Chief Visionary Officer of BNI, Dr. Ivan Misner. Hello, Ivan. How are you, and where are you?
Well, this week I am at a BNI meeting in Charlotte, our global support headquarters, and I have been zooming around the world still, recently in Taiwan and other places. So it's great to have back on the BNI podcast Shirley Town for her fourth visit. And we're going to talk a little bit more about one-to-ones. I mentioned last week, Shirley has been in BNI since 2014, representing ADT, and she's been both the president of a chapter of BNI and is now the executive director of BNI since 2018. And she has increased the membership in the region from 400 members to over 850. So, Shirley, it's great to have you back on the BNI podcast.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Not too many people have been on 4 times. Congratulations.
I know. That's exciting.
So tell me about the 2 types of members that you want to meet with and why.
All right, sweet. So I had somebody coach me on this, and the more I started thinking about it, the more they gave me like one suggestion, and then it led to the other suggestion. They said, the very first thing you need to do is have a one-to-one with every new member, because, selfishly and giving, but selfishly, they're a whole new set of contacts. They have their own family, they have their own coworkers, they have their own networks, and it's a whole new world that you could become a part of. But, the giving part is we need to have an intentional one-to-one with them to kind of coach them on how to have one. So I said earlier, I went a whole year without having effective one-to-ones. It's my goal for our members to get an effective one-to-one right off the bat so they know how to have them. And so that's really the big thing about that. And then also too, I think new members need a quick win. So, the retention of our new members is always a focus of ours. And I don't think there's a better way than to make them feel really comfortable and to introduce them. One of the things I love to do with a new member is to show them the roster and say, hey, who on this roster would you like to meet? I'll be glad for the 3 of us to have lunch together next week. And then I kind of help them through that one-to-one and ask some questions to kind of get that going so they can get some really good referral partners in the room right off the bat.
So, Shirley, I'm going to ask you a question that's we didn't talk about. So,
yes.
So sit back in your chair. Hopefully it'll be an easy answer for you. Tell me something about security, because you have worked with ADT Home Security for many years. What's something that's like really obvious that most people just don't get about home security?
Okay. So my passion with home security is the fire part of it. It's not what everybody thinks about a security system. So I am passionate about making sure that we put heat detectors in the attic, and that will save a home if a fire starts in the attic. So My passion is fire.
This is a perfect example. Heat detectors, fire system, probably one of the biggest problems, I'm guessing, based on what you have to say. Okay.
Yes.
So this is one of those things where it's obvious to you, but not obvious to your clients.
Correct.
Okay. One-to-ones are so incredibly obvious to us.
Yes.
But not always obvious to the new member. And what you're talking about are things that are so obvious to us that if you don't do what Shirley's talking about, you are not going to have success in BNI. So Shirley's got a couple of other thoughts, and pay attention, whether you've been around for a long time and haven't done one-to-ones or whether you're new in BNI, pay attention. And if you've been in BNI, comment for a while and you've done one-to-ones, comment about why these are so important. Anything else on that first step before we talk about reports?
Yeah, you just made me think of something else that is a huge deal. I never thought about this, but I was meeting with a financial advisor and he was like, every time I meet with a spouse that has lost, their significant other, typically a female that's lost a male, they want a
Yeah.
security system. And he's right. Like that was a huge part of my business, but I've never talked about it. And he said, I am going to just say this. Hey, when you lose your spouse, sometimes the ice maker makes a noise that you've never heard before because you don't have somebody sleeping beside you. And he was like, I just want you to know if you are uneasy and you would like a security system, I have somebody that will take extra special care of you. I in no way would have ever thought to ever think of that. And he literally transformed what I asked for from that point on, because that is one of the segments of my market that I love to help.
And that's what we're trying to do with our
Yep,
members on one-to-ones here, is to get you
absolutely.
to think about the things that maybe you haven't thought about before.
Absolutely.
Anything else on the first step to figure out the two types of members before we talk about reports?
Yeah, the next one is the second type of member that you want to meet with is a huge giver in BNI. So you figure out from the summary POMS report, the thank you for closed business, who the huge givers are in the room. Most of us know who those are, but have a one-to-one with them.
Yeah.
Most people automatically think, I want to have a one-to-one with a huge giver because I want a piece of the pie that they're giving. But I actually take a little bit of a different point to it. I want to pick their brain as to who they're giving to. How are they giving to them? What do they say? What key situations do they look for? What kind of golden goose referral partners are they referring? And so you kind of get the opportunity to learn from the best of the best, right? So they're
Yeah.
teaching you how to give. And if you learn how to give, it could open up a huge referral partner for you.
Yeah, great suggestion. Really good suggestion. All right, there are a couple of reports that people should look at in terms of one-to-ones. You want to talk about those?
Absolutely. So the very first report is the chapter roster. It's going to show you a few stats, but it's going to give you the classification of every new person. But this is where I want you to evaluate your members. Are they an advocator? Are they a promoter? Or are they a creator for you? And then on the other side of the name, I want you to write what you are to them. So I'm going to look and I'm going to say, okay, Priscilla. Priscilla's given me 1 to 2 referrals in a 6-month period. She's an advocator for me. I'm giving Priscilla 6 to 8 in a 6-month period. I'm a creator for Priscilla. I bring her up in conversation whenever I possibly can. So I want to do that to figure out who I want to have one-to-ones with. If I've got an uneven relationship, I want to learn, what I need to do to fix that. But I'm looking for who is a huge giver and who is a brand new person in my chapter. And every month I'm going to pick those two people and I'm going to focus on them for 30 days. I'm going to fill out the gains exchange. I'm going to fill out, I want to fill out the 3 add-ons, the bragging point, the key situation, and obviously, most importantly, perhaps the Golden Goose referral partner. And I'm going to make 3 copies. And Ivan, this sounds really, really nerdy, but hang on with me. I'm going to put one where I brush my teeth. I'm going to put one on my desk and one in my car. And before I meet with any client, I'm going to read over it. And by the end of 30 days, so I tell my people when I have a one-to-one with them, for 30 days, you're my focus. What can I do for you on social media? How can I love on you? What can I do to help you? Is there somebody in the chapter I can introduce you to? Is there, who are your Golden Goose referral partners? I'm getting all that information. For 30 days, I focus on that person just with the utmost intentionality. And then at the end of 30 days, I'm going to pick 2 more people, a brand new person and a huge giver. Every month, I'm picking 2 people. At the end of 6 months, I'm promoting and creating for 6 brand new members and 6 huge givers.
Mm.
The last thing we ever want is a huge giver to leave because they're not receiving. So I always ask them, how is BNI to you? And so that's the second part of the huge giver.
All right. Now I know that Priscilla has a question about the 3 types of people that you were talking about. And I want
Yes.
to make sure that we have time for that. And
Hmm.
we're almost running out of time. Can you tell
Sure.
me about the summary poems pretty quickly and then the
Yes.
international one-to-ones?
Okay, so the summary POMS is where you're going to get the thank you for closed business from. So it's going to show the referrals that have been given to that person and or the referrals that person has given and how they've turned it into thank you for closed business. So that's where you figure out who your big givers are. And then you want to look at the P for present under the palms to figure out who the new people are in your chapter, depending, if you don't know that right off, or if you are a new person, new people can meet with new people. That's still effective. So that's really what we're looking for there.
And international one-to-ones.
So, this doesn't just stop in your backyard, and it could be across the country. And then it can be, in a different country. How many times have we heard about some people making contacts and they've just gone crazy with their business? There are all sorts of situations out there where you can have an intentional one-to-one, somebody that might be a Golden Goose referral partner in another country.
Yeah. Excellent. And Priscilla, you had a quick question for Shirley about the types of people she was referring to.
Right. I was just reviewing my notes and I forgot what the difference is between the advocator and the creator.
Yes. Okay. So there's three. So the advocator waits for the phone to ring and you're literally just advocating for them. So somebody calls and they ask for a power washer and you're like, yeah, I know a guy. Here's a bragging point. Here's his information. So they called you. You didn't work very hard for it. Could still be a great referral. The second one is the promoter. The promoter waits for the key situation to happen in order to bring you up in conversation. So we train our folks what their key situations are. A storm comes through town. I once knew of a jewelry lady that gave $751,000 worth of roofs because a storm came through her neighborhood. So that's the kind of thing that we're talking about with a promoter. And then lastly, there's the creator. The creator just can go into a room. They could be at a dinner party and they just start talking about the guy that did their taxes. So that's just a random one, but just you just know, like, and love that person so much that you don't need anything to happen in order for you to bring them up in conversation.
Right. Okay, good.
Excellent. Shirley, I know a lot of this material is up on Business Builders, and I urge members of BNI to go there. Is there any last thought? We're out of time. Any last thought before we wrap?
You can get started today and you will impact your chapter forever. Every single month, pick two people, brand new person and a huge giver. Start today. Why would you wait? Be intentional about your one-to-ones. Don't just date anybody. Pick who you want to ask out on a one-to-one and make it count.
Excellent. Shirley, thanks again for being back on BNI Podcast. I appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Back to you, Priscilla.
Okay, thank you. That's it for this week. Great information from both of you. Thank you so much. This podcast is sponsored by MeisnerAudioPrograms.com. These audio programs will provide you with the tools and the inspiration to powerfully enhance your BNI experience and help you boost your business. So check out the great material available to you at MeisnerAudioPrograms.com and use the promo code IVAN50 for 50% off all of the audio programs. And the proceeds are all going to the BNI Foundation. So thank you so much for listening. This is Priscilla Rice, and we look forward to having you join us again next